Hey everyone, I've been asked a couple of times to give a rundown of how everything goes together, so I thought it would be easiest to show you on the build itself. So I'll name the parts and list off where the parts are going to go and what pieces go where. So first, we'll start here on the left side. This is the left idler. Inside of here there's a your idler pulley, which is going to be two of those 695 bearings. If you look in the images, you'll see on how to put those together. It'll be a spacer or a M5 washer, and then a bearing, then another washer, and then another bearing, and then finally a washer on the top. So what you're going to do is you're going to put those together, and in here you can see this little hole right here. This is going to be where your 35 millimeter dowel pin is going to go. So these are meant to be very tight, so the best thing that I'd recommend doing is what I did, at least, is I stuck the end of mine in the drill and then drilled it into the thing, just kind of heated it up and pressed it in. It'll make sure the stays tight in there, but also kind of melts the plastic around it just a little bit. You can push it in by hand if you want. That'll also work. But okay, so that's the left idler. In here is going to be your set screw, which you can actually get from when you're taking the machine apart. Okay, so there's the left idler. The right idler is exactly the same. Same size dowel and everything, same set screw. Let's go to the bearing block. So the big hole here, this top one where the rod is running through, that's where your bearing is going to sit. On the end here is a screw hole. This is where you're going to put your M3 screw with a washer on, and that's going to hold the tip of this in, hold the end in so then it doesn't move. Here is the one of the two toothed idlers, and it also is going to use a 35 millimeter dowel. Like the others, you're going to put an M5 washer on the top. There might be some space in between here. You can see there's a little bit of a washer there. You might have some space there, so if there is, put another one there. Next is back here. You can access it from the little back panel for back here. This is going to be the same as our idler over here, where you're going to do a single stack of the bearings, washer, bearing, washer, bearing, washer, put it in through the back, and then this is going to be a 20 millimeter dowel, and it goes up through the bottom like before. Pretty much the same concept on the other side. However, on this one, because this one has to sit higher and this bearing block is in the way, this longer pin here, this one that's holding this bearing in, is going to be a 30 millimeter dowel pin. So we'll need 30 for the right one. This is the only one that's different from the other two. It's either 35 or 20 for all of them except for this one right here, which is 30. Right here we have our toothed pulley, like the other side, and then like the other side again we have this other 695 bearing stack. I mentioned this in the text file, but make sure you print this. This is going to keep your end stop and hit this so the fan doesn't hit the bearing block. You don't want that to happen. Next is our stepper mount. So let me move this out of the way really quick. Okay, so this one's a double stack. This is the only set of bearings that goes on this mount itself. It's the same concept. It's washer, double bearing, or washer, bearing, washer, bearing, washer, and you do it twice. It's pretty simple. So just do that. You can kind of look at the photo and you can see kind of what it's supposed to look like. And there's an image also again that shows double stack. You're going to mount the motor, or like put the motor inside of the stepper mount, and then you can put the 36 tooth idler pulley on the top here, and then screw it in. If you notice, there's a third screw here. You're going to have to access that from the top port here, and then use a socket cap screw, and this will slide right over that, and you should be good. This one's going to use your 35mm dowel pin again, and you're going to access it from the top. Just put it right down in there. For this, for our tensioner, our right tensioner, you're going to do the double stack bearing again, and then you're going to use a 20mm dowel pin, put it right through the top. Make sure it passes this screw hole thing. This screw hole is going to be your screw tensioner, and then you're going to tighten that. So you can move it back so you can kind of see what it's supposed to do. So your screw is going to tighten into, and you can see in here there's a hole right here. That's where I added a second one where you can use a hex nut, which is easier access. Otherwise you're going to put a heat set screw in there, or heat set M3 nut in there. Once you have that, then you can screw this in, and when you tighten this, it will pull the belt tight. And then you're going to have two, I think they're 18mm screws, which are also heat set in the back of here. This is where your heat sets go. Then your screw is going to tighten through here. Make sure you have a washer on the face plate here, and then that will tighten that to the front here and keep that from moving. Okay, so that's the right side. I'll just run through this really quick. This is I have two renditions. This is if you want to use the stock, is your cable mount thing. If you want to use the stock cable mount, then you can do that. There's a cable clip here, and then in here is a tapped M4 screw, which is why I placed it right here, because that's if you have it set up right, there'll be an M4 tap screw that you can screw into right there. This side is going to be exactly the same. It also uses 35mm dowel pin with the same double stack of bearings right here. Access it from the top. Screw the motor mount in like you did the last time. Make sure you got to put the tooth pulley on top first. Like put the motor in, then the pulley, and then tighten it down. Otherwise, it won't fit. And this other tensioner is going to be exactly the same as the one we talked about before. Also 20mm single stack bearing, and simple as that. So when you do go to assemble it though, do the x-axis first, which means you're going to do your two linear bearing blocks, then mount your linear rail and your 20/20 extrusion. Don't tighten everything down because this is very tight tolerances. You have less than a millimeter on either side, so watch out for that. And then once you have this, then you can put it on the linear rail, or rod I mean, on both sides. Mount them like this first. Let's say just kind of without the frame. Then once you have the frame, or once you have this together, then mount it from the frame and then screw it in the bottom. I would highly recommend taking the top plate off first. There's under each one of these corner brackets is a single M5 screw. I think it's M5. Loosen those up, take them out, take the top frame out, flip it over, mount it that way. It'll make your life much easier. Next is your bed relocation. It's basically done exactly the same as it is currently, so just remove all the hardware. Here's your anti-backlash nut. You're going to replace that. You're going to replace all of the palm wheels, and then put it back on, and it will mount exactly how it currently is. It's just this moves it forward so you get full access to the bed. Pay attention to where the end stops are. If you use the SKR E3V3 or another similar BTT board, you can use sensorless homing, which means you're gonna home on. I would home on this axis on set. This is your 0. I have sensorless homing in the printer.cfg already. I personally don't use it. I don't think it's as accurate, but you can. If you don't use it, then mount your Y end stop here and run it underneath the cable, and you're going to run it to the breakout board that's over here. Your X-axis is built into the X carriage, which is right here, and then you're going to want a BL touch, which mounts to the frame right here. You can see the body block right there, so that's where you're going to mount your thing, and then you should be done. And then once you have everything mounted, then you can go through and do the belts. I would recommend watching a video first, but I can do a quick lowdown. You're gonna start with ample amount of belt and run it from here over to your toothed idler, then around through this, and you're going to loop it around the top of this belt, then through the tooth, then back through, up through the idler, and then straight back behind this one, back through, and then back this way and back into the top. And then you're going to do the same thing for the bottom. That's very simple. I would recommend watching a video if you haven't done it before, but that should cover all of the assembly. If there's any more info you need or what, I will try and provide that, but that should cover most of everything, and good luck.